Hello and welcome to the Bee Formless Flow Driven CEO podcast. I am welcoming all the way from Austin, Texas, Rick Tocquigny. I think I got that right, Rick. Did I get that right?
Very good.
Thank you for coming onto the show. I'm quite thrilled to have you on board and also very honored to have you here.
It's great to talk to you, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to people with big opinions, not of themselves, but about the world at large.
Yeah. And you've already challenged me pre-show that, you want to be asked questions. I can't even remember what the challenge was, but I know what the challenge was, but I'm not explaining myself very well. But you said you wanted me to ask really challenging questions. So I'm going to do my best to do that. But firstly, I wanted to acknowledge and celebrate all that you have, uh, I guess, all your success in all the years that you've been here. And you're a leadership mentor, a podcast author, and the founder of Success Made to Last Media. And I absolutely love this notion of success made to last because I do want to ask you some pointed questions around success. The
Okay.
the company is a multi-division company in Austin devoted to publishing, podcasting, and mentoring startups, each with a give back component to build society, social legacy. But prior to that, you were 18 years in the corporate world in consumer packaged goods, working with some of the biggest, excuse me, brands in the world, Procter and Gamble, Frito-Lay, and General Mills. But then you decided that you wanted to shift into storytelling and impact through media. You've hosted
Mhm.
over 4,000 podcast episodes, which is huge, interviewing individuals living lives defined by generosity and heart. Absolutely right in my space. And you're onto your 11th book, which was published in April only of this year. And it's truly significant, which is, I can see it right behind you. And it's conversations with big-hearted people that share transformational stories illustrating how everyday choices build extraordinary significance. So it's a pretty interesting story in terms of 18 years in consumer packaged goods corporate world, and then you take a pivot and decide to then set up Success Made to Last Media.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about that journey and what made you take the pivot and switch into your own business and this Success Made to Last Media.
It all kind of ties in together with this pursuit of significance because after working for big companies and chasing titles and being so into myself and ambition and trying to go as fast as possible, it's like you stop and say, what's it all about, Alfie? And you think about what impact you're making on people. And no offense to Frito-Lay, but being on the Doritos brand group and managing a triangular chip made out of corn doesn't necessarily change lives. And so it was a decision of the heart to get into a different kind of business of encouraging others. And it feels good, and you're giving back something, and you know you're changing lives. So this has a legacy, and Doritos do not.
Yeah. And was there a moment, was there an actual moment where you went into work one day and you were like, I can't do this anymore? Like, was there something that actually, was there something that happened to you for you to have that switch, like that mindset switch where you were like, there's more to life than just this?
Yeah, there was that moment of an epiphany, and it happened when I was interviewing people on this book, when core values are strategic, and I was asked to interview 36 colleagues from Procter and Gamble's alumni network. One of them left their extremely high paying job to go to Indonesia to rescue the victims from a tsunami. 40 of her relatives died in this tsunami. And so Diane Allen, she started Give Light as a result of that. That's one of those seminal moments of, what are you doing? What is this about? And then other stories came up, like Cynthia Round, who left working for Procter and the Metropolitan Museum in New York to be an executive with the United Way and to change up everything there. And then LensCrafters founder decided to have one site to help people around the world who couldn't read. So the women couldn't work in Africa unless they had glasses to see. Those are the kinds of things, Bee, that are the switch-ons for significance.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been chasing and talking to people about. And it's like, you use the word accomplishments. I don't even have that in my vocabulary anymore. It's about, what are you doing for others today?
Yeah.
It's otherly. It's not about me. We have to move from me to we.
Oh yeah, I love we. Yeah, I'm all about the we. I hate that. There's no such thing as I. You know,
No.
there
And I
is no.
wish that we could eradicate it. But anyway, so that's where we're going with that. That's what we are all about now.
Awesome. So then you actually just called out that I've used the word accomplishment and it's not in your vocabulary anymore. And you've come up with you've obviously got a very successful business in terms of success made to last media. Success is such an interesting word. Success is a lot like accomplishment, right? In terms of we're in this world where it's, climb the corporate ladder, success equals money, success equals, work hard, just keep going. Like, there's this old world of success. And yet
Mhm.
you were doing all these interviews and the book you just showed, and then, meeting people that had faced serious adversity, and then it changed their path in life to do something for the greater good, for society, that makes a difference and makes an impact in this world. Success, what does success mean to you? Because and how do you define success in terms of success made to last? You're talking about a completely different success by the sounds of things. And I come back to this word accomplishment that you challenged me on. I want to challenge you on the word success and how you're reshaping and defining that in terms of what does it mean and what does it look like now? Because if you asked anyone on the street, what does success look like? I bet you bottom dollar success would still be probably articulated in a way that's very much in this old world of, oh, well, it means that, if I'm earning good money, if I've got this, if I've got that, it's all about me, 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 versus this
Mhm.
we. So I'd love to understand
Yeah.
this. I hope that's a good question. I hope you're giving me a good.
Oh, yeah, it is. You check the box on asking good questions. So, first of all, I think as I approach a particular milestone age, I recognize that was about accumulating wealth that gave us the opportunity to do the things that we're doing today. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing wrong. So if success is about money and possessions, now it's like, well, what are you doing with time? Because the real currency in your life is time, not money. So is it possible that as you're going on this road of success that you can start to integrate the concept of giving back and significance? And it doesn't necessarily mean giving away your money. It could be your time and your talents. So take you, for instance. You're starting this podcast. You've been on since February. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I bet that you are creating a ripple effect. And that if you ask the right questions of the right guests, you're going to get some gut shots, as I call it, which are when people tell you like it is, and they're going to pass on wisdom that no one else has heard before. Now, all of a sudden, you are in the zone of significance because you're spending 30 minutes with these people trying to draw out their wisdom.
Mm,
So you're already doing it. You may not know it already.
mm.
Uh, while at the same time, you may have this parallel path of how the heck do I monetize podcasts?
You're tuning
Which,
into my inner psyche right now. I'm like, how are you
so,
even like, you're like, you're in there.
geez, I started in podcasting when there were less than 10,000 podcasters, and now there's 5 million maybe. And there's only, like so many other industries at that apex, less than 0.5% are really making any money from it. So what is everybody else doing? So you gotta ask yourself that as you spend more time, Belinda, on this media and what you're doing to propel and accelerate your podcast. What do you really want out of it? And I think reading you today, it's about the difference that you make. And yeah, you need to make money on it.
Yeah, it's a really good point, actually. Yeah, and for me, it's it's that exploration. It's like what you were doing with that book in terms of the research you were doing. Like I'm still working my way through it all as part of only starting my business a couple of years ago, and yeah, but it's absolutely about that whole piece around making a difference, and then what does it look like from a remuneration perspective. Um,
Exactly.
but coming into it, like coming into this, something like this with intention, not just coming across as that kind of, so how do I make money out of this, how do I do this, da, da, da. Like there's, for me, it's everything I do is with intention, and I'm sure you're exactly the same in terms of I'm not just somebody that's going to do it in a way that everyone else is doing it. I'm finding a way that is intentionally, it's giving back, it's making a difference, but it's also ensuring that it's creating that success made to last, if you like, but it's a different type of success, if that makes sense. There's still
It does.
success for me is still exists. It's still a word, but I think that we're at a really interesting point in time where there's this really big opportunity to reshape it and redefine what it looks like. And it comes back to, what you're doing in terms of that give back component, because the more you give back, the
The more
more
you get.
the more the abundance follows, the more you get, your vibe attracts your tribe, the energy, it's all energy, isn't it? That's kind of my
Yes.
philosophy. So tell me, in terms of then, you mentioned, and I'm just going to completely pivot right now. We were talking about your surname, pre-show, and I was just making sure I was, getting it right. And then you were talking about Mahali Csikszentmihalyi and the whole piece around flow science, and you said to me, you're living in flow science right now. Can you tell me, or living in flow? Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because my podcast is called The Flow Driven CEO. I have studied and trained and, been certified in flow science and all of that. And so I'm a massive, follower of Mahali Csikszentmihalyi. And I'd love to understand what you mean by that you're living in it right now.
Of course. And for your listeners that don't have any idea about what we're talking about, flow is a mental state where a person is fully immersed in an activity with energized focus, full involvement, and deep, deep enjoyment. It happens when your skill level and your challenge are both high, and your core components of flow generally include an intensity, a merger of action and awareness. Some people in flow lose consciousness.
I do. I absolutely do. I get into the dark side at times. I'll tell you about the dark side of it.
Some people have a control issue. And I would also say sometimes people have a distorted perception of time. But so I look at flow, and then I think about, well, how does that fit into true significance? And it's about naturally, instinctively building your social legacy, leveraging and living in your core values, creating meaningful connections like Charles Cormier seems to be the ace of all connectors, and then leaving the world a little better than you found it. And so that flow science supports and amplifies true significance. And it really comes down to significance by flow when purpose becomes your performance. Purpose becomes the performance.
Totally. And I don't think I think you need both. Like, it's a lot of, you talk to a lot of people around, it's all about the purpose, and performative is like old world or performance, but you need to be being, which is purpose, being your whole self, your true self, connected. But there's also got to be an element of doing, right? Which is the performance piece. So
That's
there's
right.
so there's that whole being and doing. So I absolutely love that you're living and breathing this. You're in the flow. I'm in the flow as well. And you've been talking a lot about truly significant. So have you studied flow before, or is this something that you have just come across and then you've connected the dots together when it comes to truly significant and the book you've been writing? Or do you think that you have always been in flow but have not realized until now?
I think it's a little bit of both because the older I get, I am have this higher mindfulness for joyful excellence. And I am in a band in Austin. I've been playing drums for, this is going to give my age away. I've been playing drums for 55 years.
You said you're
When
coming
I
up with
am,
a significant number to your birthday.
yeah, I started when I was 4 months old to play drums. Now, so when you are playing drums, you are in the ultimate flow.
Yeah.
You get lost in the music. You got to be on. You got to be precise from a notes perspective, musical note perspective, and you also are responsible for keeping the back rhythm of a band. But when you are in the flow and then you do improv, especially if you're in a jazz band, oh my God! I mean, it's like I've lost it. There's nothing else going on. It is a total sensory experience. If you are a singing drummer, it gets worse because now you've got 5 things going on: right hand, right foot, left foot, and you're singing, you're attempting. Why are there so few singing drummers in the world? It's because they can't do a 5th thing at the same time. So, flow, I think I'm taking flow to the next level. Second example, grandparent of 2 of the greatest grandchildren in all the world. I have learned to play again. I lost the ability to play somewhere along the road of pursuing success. Now playtime is significant. It's a big deal. And we are teed up to play well and be creative and be the best grandparents possible for those grandkids so they'll be high potential.
Yeah, it's great. There's a whole book around from Stephen Kotler on, and he obviously is, the guru around flow as well, in terms of you can teach an old dog new tricks. And
Yep.
it's that whole neuroplasticity piece and everything you're talking around in terms of, we have this fixed mindset that I'm getting old, I can't learn new things, I can't evolve, that sort of thing. But it's BS. It's like you
It
absolutely
is.
can, and you're just talking about that. Coming back to the jazz and the drummer and the singing as well, that comes back to that challenge skills balance piece, doesn't it? Right? In terms of you can be sitting in like the boredom piece, and you can then be sitting in a challenge where it's almost too stressful, and you've almost in your mind said, I can't do this. But once you get into that flow state, anything and everything is possible. And
Exactly.
yeah,
But if you but
yeah,
what you've got to do though is to get into the flow state. That's one of the challenges that we've got today at Truly Significant is getting people into the state of giving. because we think flow of science and giving are connected. You lose yourself when you're giving to others. But getting people into that state, though, means stop what you're doing, get off your freaking phone or watching TV or whatever you're doing, busy life, and just give a little bit. That's
And
all.
why is society not as open to giving as we should be? Like what's the resistance? What's holding people back? Like you've obviously interviewed a number of people as part of your book in terms of truly significant. What do you
I think
see
it's a
as
matter of choices. I think if you and I saw an opportunity to go build a house or contribute to building a house because someone's house burned down, we take the time to do that because either we knew them, were connected, or we were so emotionally touched by it. That motivates us to move from point A to point B. I think that sometimes we're not motivated well enough, strong enough by all the needs of the world. And you can't be Mother Teresa, let's face it. But what can you do? What's the little thing that you can do? So that's part of it. I think COVID-19 effed up the world a little bit because
recovery?
we,
Like,
we became lonely, isolated, and I think we're still coming out of our caves to discover, hey, there's a next door neighbor there. Hey, she's 90 years old. What can I do can I help her bring her groceries in? So we're still, I think that we got totally screwed up
yeah,
as a society with COVID.
I agree. I actually think that we all went, it's almost like some days I go, why are people so selfish? Why is everybody so insular? Why are we just like this? It's like we've got our heads down and it's like, what if we just looked up? What if we looked up and like you say, there's the 90-year-old neighbor or just little things like just respond. Just respond to an email, just respond to somebody, just say thank you, but no thank you. Or yeah, I can actually do that for you. Or yes, like I think we've lost this ability, and I'd love your thoughts on this. I feel like we've almost lost our ability to, it's even before giving. I think we've just lost our ability to be able to, I hate using the word help, but it's almost like this, it's like we've lost our bit like our manners in a way, in terms of like just being able to do the things we used to do. And I'm not suggesting we go backward, like we go back in time, but like we've forgotten what it means to be able just to communicate. Do you know what I mean? Like I just think that is something that I've really observed, whether it's in business, in life, and I don't know whether it's because everyone is so busy or so distracted because of everything going on in this world. But sometimes I'd love the world just to pause for a second and everyone just go, hang on a second. We're not
Yeah.
individuals. We are a we, like you're talking about. Can we all just lift ourselves up for a second and just acknowledge that it's not just I, it's we as a collective. Sure, you've obviously got to put yourself first as a priority, but there's a whole big we out there.
Yeah. It's I observed in Europe over the last 3 weeks that they are, at least where we were, they are less mean and more kind post COVID. And I came back over here going, why can't Americans be less mean and keep their proverbial guns down and stop? Road rage here is a big deal. What about just courtesy in how you drive? And so I think part of it is loneliness led to isolation, led to being mean and losing the ability to be kind to each other. So we're going to have to kind of reboot in many places. And that's not to say there's not kind communities out there, because we identified them in the book Truly Significant. But I think we better reboot, and that's part of it. And I'm in my lifetime, I may not see it all, but maybe I sparked a fire behind it.
Yeah. And so how are you rebooting it, Rick? What are you like? I mean, obviously you've got, you're doing what you're doing, but if you were to stand up, here's a question for you. If you were to stand up in front of the entire world and say, we need to reboot, what would you say?
I would say go to trulysignificant.com and put a picture up of the person that you're thankful for and tell them about it before they die. And start encouraging other people just to say, like you, I'll tell you this right now. I really like your interviewing style. You've got great energy. I think you're going to make a difference in the industry.
That's
Okay?
really kind of
Straight
you.
up. That's the way I feel about you right now. Now, why can't people stop and do the same thing? So, we're trying to provide a mechanism for that. I don't care if you use Facebook or Instagram, but just start recognizing the people. And when I wrote this book, I wrote it like it was my opus. I wrote it and I thanked every teacher that ever had a little bit of influence, positive influence on me. Now, sadly, most of them have died, so I didn't take time to thank them while they were alive. But dadgummit, you can. I mean, we're
No, but
talking
you
about whole
still put
new
it out
generation.
there. No, but you've still put it out there. Like whether they're
Yeah.
here or not, you've still put it out there. You've still acknowledged them, and I think that's what we're talking about here, which is so important that you've actually just acknowledged all the people that made that, that little bit of difference in your world. How did
Yeah.
you
And
come up?
even the hard asses. I recognize all my mentors that many days I hated within all those companies. And the 30 years in the publishing industry, I went back and I looked at everybody that ever corrected me or complimented me, but mostly the ones that corrected me. Those are the people that matter. So that's, maybe people should work on their own opus or do living eulogies or something. I don't know, but get started. That's the key thing. And what if that bled over into your corporations, into your communities, and your nonprofits? Just make it a little bit kinder.
Hmm. Yeah, I think there's a real opportunity to make it a little bit kinder and like you say, spread it. Like, like bring it into organizations, bring it into your leadership style. Like I talk a lot about, a soulful, component to life, to being a leader, and what we can bring into businesses. I think it's really important. Like you called out the term hard asses, and I think there still needs to be an element of, it comes back to this performance piece, but as long as you're doing it in a purposeful way. And I think you're totally right. I've got fond memories and I'm grateful for a lot of the hard asses in my life because at the time I was like, how dare you? And I was so angry in some situations. But then I look back now and go, oh no, you really influenced me and pushed me at the time. Maybe not so much in the greatest possible way at the time, but it made me go, oh, okay, I need to think about this and how would I do it differently? What would I not do that they're doing right now?
Right.
And then what do I need to do? What do I need to work on myself to be a better person or to be truly significant? I
Yeah,
want to ask you,
you're talking my language because we're into regenerative significance now because this is about spreading core values and
Mhm.
propagating purpose and building systems of renewal. So, and you're on it.
Mm. Thank you. How did you come, where did truly the name truly significant come from for you? Because I absolutely love it. Like it's just truly significant.
It just kept reappearing. It just kept showing itself up in all these interviews.
The
So it's like
language.
one of my best friends is Dr. Philippe Bouissou, who's a chaos theorist, and
I love chaos theory.
Apple. He started Apple.com. He was Steve Jobs' protege. He said, "Watch for patterns, watch for repeats, watch for." If you do that, B, from podcast to podcast or project to project, just pay attention to that. Hover over it once a day or once a week and see what are the patterns.
Yeah.
Pay attention, and then you will be significant and successful.
Yeah, I love that. I love it. It's so true around the patterns, and it's that whole pattern recognition, but then it's the pattern interrupts, and then you're putting them constantly together. I've got a couple more questions for you before I let you get to your evening. There's this book staring at me called The Spare Room behind us, and I'm like, so you've got this truly significant, and then you've got this the spare room, and it's really interesting. And I'm looking at them both, and I'm thinking, and I'm kind of already kind of creating like I'm always thinking ahead, right? But I'm thinking about this other part of well, there's a spare room, right? And you almost need a spare room in your mind or in your life to be able to be truly significant. And I kind of just wanted to understand a little bit more around one that those two books together and two and forgive me, I haven't looked into all your books, I do apologize, but the spare room, is that about creating the third space or the spare space to be able to then step into or to be able to give back?
It is that metaphor. It was written by a friend of mine, Emily Chang, who is the first chapter in our book of Truly Significant. She's a friend from Procter Gamble, went on to be the chief marketing officer for Starbucks in China. She's adopted 17 children
Whoa.
over the course. She found the room in her house and in her heart with her own children and her daughter and husband to do that. She is my kind of the golden example of the condition of the heart that it takes to move from success to significance. Social-legacy.com is what you can visit to learn more about that.
I love it. But what's your view? Like you also need like I mean thinking about the spare room as just a loose term. Like I absolutely love the story behind that book. But if we go, this is my last question for you actually. Well, second last. But if we go, you just talked about from success to significance, right? So if we think about success as we know it today, how do you make success truly significant? You need to allow space. You need to remove all the noise and all the, parts of the brain where it says you can't do this, you can't give back, you can't be this person. I talk about, when it comes to flow, it's also about shining your brightest when you feel and perform at your best.
Oh, yes.
There needs to be some
Um,
space you create between success and then being truly significant to be able to be then successfully truly significant or however we want to put that the two together. What's your
it,
view on
it is it is space, and you're speaking as if you're a medical doctor. There is a chapter in there by Dr. Jay Lombard, who's found in the brain, identify where passion exists. It's like the way you were just speaking is we need to do heart surgery and brain surgery to find the space, the capacity to even ponder these big things. Otherwise, we're just the same human beings, walking for ourselves, getting into our car, going to our house, closing the garage door, and then the next day we start it over again in isolation.
and then we die
So,
and then we look back at our lives and go, did I live my best life? I'm being pretty
what the hell was that all about?
yeah.
So it's really about thinking and acting as you go along and growing, and it's for any age. I'm convinced, and so I think everybody can pick up on this and do little things today to help somebody else. Lift them up,
I love it.
you know.
And I
Stop
don't
being
think,
so damn mean. Just try to eradicate the meanness out of you.
yeah. And I challenge you, Enrique. I don't know if we need surgery, brain surgery and heart surgery. I think we need what you're just talking about. Like this is preventative. Like if we just do little things step by step, bit by bit, if we start doing that today now, we're not going to need the big surgery. We're not going to need the big emergency ER. Like we can all just completely make a difference in this world where we're transforming lives, we're being truly significant. It's coming from a heart-centered place. I think that's what you're talking about here. But it has to start
That's
now.
right.
And we're in this new world order. It's not going away. We're still obviously recovering from COVID, but we're we need to acknowledge that we're not going back to the way we were. So how do we go forward and do it in a way that is regenerative and everything that you've been talking about? I truly believe that. I have one, I guess I don't know if it's a question, but I'd love to get a piece of advice or a words of wisdom or a tip from you on what could be something that we could start to do today to start to move in towards this being truly significant as
This
a
applies,
society.
yeah, this applies probably more to the United States because I haven't spent but a month of my life in Australia. But I would say most neighborhoods don't know each other. And so I would say when you see a neighbor here in the United States, go over and say hello to them and introduce yourself and say, you know, I'm here when you're not. Here's what I can do for you. I'll just watch your place while you're gone, but let me know when you're leaving town. And so it's that little thing. And while we were gone for a couple of weeks, my neighbor next door came over and he decided to mow the lawn.
That's so nice.
Wow. It's he did something. He took 15 minutes of his time to do something for us that was without any expectations of being thanked. So it's like I say, start those little communities locally and then build on it with whether it's your church or a Kiwanis or Optimist Club or nonprofits or whatever, and then just let the branches, the roots kind of just go out and see what happens. But little steps that don't cost you anything.
No, I love it. I love it. How do we find out more about you, Rick? I mean, I'm obviously going to put it in my notes, but where's the best place to find more about what you're doing and the impact you're making in the world?
Trulysignificant.com.
Yeah, I love it.
That's the easiest way to get in touch with me. And I'm a Rick at trulysignificant.com. And join us on our journey as we're shaking things up
Love it. Might join on
and
the
getting
challenge.
and hopefully getting people in the flow. And then want you to continue what you're doing, and I want you to step it up with the best questions ever
Okay.
from you to stir the pot, okay? Because the world needs to be stirred up.
Okay. Game on. I'll take on the dare. I'll take on the I shouldn't I say the dare. I'll take on the challenge. Now you've really got me thinking, oh my gosh, I'm gonna really have to. I'm one of those people that doesn't have a script. I'm very much because that's the
I
way.
like that. That's one of the things that attracted our team to you is that you wanted to just um, one person on the team said, "Oh, she's spontaneous combustion, perfect for Ricky." So it's like that's the you've got. I like that. The world is too scripted, So it's like think about it.
Yeah, and make sure the questions are sharp. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
Exactly. Can you hang on after this so I can give you one more bit of advice on something?
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna
After the
quickly
that'd be great.
I'm gonna quickly say goodbye to everybody. So thank you and have a wonderful evening. And I look forward to getting a quick bit of advice from you now. Thanks, Rick.
Thanks for having me on.